Aloha. Aloha, friends and neighbors. Rollin Frost here, Kona astrologer. We're going to talk about what's going on up there in the month of April, which is a real doozer. If you're in the first few days of April, you had a new moon on the 30th of March. It was right on the planet Uranus. Now normally this would be very exciting for me because Uranus is the ruler of astrology. Uranus is science. Uranus is secular rationality. A lot of religious people don't like Uranus. They don't like science because it tends to get in the way of their beliefs oftentimes. But we're in for a whole month of new revelations. The thing about this is that in the middle of April, Pluto slows down and stops, and it's in square to Uranus. And so a lot of the Uranus stuff that happens when it has a square to Pluto, it's holding on to Pluto, which is panic attacks, flight or fight, power and control issues. And so if, for instance, over Mexico City, we had a whole bunch of UFOs, and this sort of thing could happen in April. If you get to the middle of April and 100 UFOs show up over Mexico City, people would tend to panic. Now, the things that make you panic are generally earthquakes. And so April is going to be a month of earthquakes where people feel a little panicky. And probably some volcanoes because Pluto is Pele. And I'm going to do some astrocartography for you here shortly and see if we can pick out some areas on the Earth where this is going to be particularly intense. For you, on the outside, we could have wind problems, which is typhoons, tornadoes, high winds, things of that nature. Uranus has to do with the winds out there, and they're going to become a little chaotic and overdo it, be too strong, be too weak, and in general create that Pluto square makes you a little panicky. For you in your normal day-to-day reality, you'll see stuff happening like horns honking, and you can't stop the car from honking its horn. Sudden noises that startle you. A tendency not to sleep too well, to wake up suddenly. You may feel very much alone, or you may want to be part of a group. There could be a lot of issues arise in April of a scientific nature. So we're looking at a month where new, weird, strange things happen. Uranus loves to serve you up strange stuff, and you're sure to see some during the month. Unfortunately, the square from Pluto as it stops tends to make some of this news, makes you feel a little panicky. Don't panic. It's a normal thing. It's drink a lot of water, and don't let yourself be chased into some unusual situation where you feel shaky and panicky. Get out of that. Don't dive into that sort of stuff. There'll be plenty of emphasis around in the great outdoors here and to demonstrate this stuff, which happens mostly on Sundays, I notice. When we get to the sky mirror, I'll show you more. So, batteries die, electricity is out. It's always the connections. I had about 4 connection problems before I got the show started today. Twist the connector. Sometimes I spit on the connector and plug it back in, and it works. Anyway, it's a weird month, very weird month. And in the middle of April becomes a little panicky. At the end of April, people tend to get angry about these things. It may be that there's some strikes because Uranus has to do with getting the union together, get the brothers together, You know, get something done for the 99%. There's a general feeling that, you know, people are controlling things here that shouldn't be. There could be issues over media control. Edward Snowden's information could come up more. They're looking for this airplane now, and it turns out that all of these countries around this area have all this secret spy gear, and they don't want to tell anybody about it. And so it's hard to find the missing plane because these countries are paranoid about their secrets. Something may come up over that, but airplanes, things that go zzz, helicopters are all in question during this time. It's a freaky month. And it could be quite entertaining. And there could be startling new news. And if you feel a little shaky, a little panicky, you know, it's kind of normal for this time. And you're not alone, okay? So let's go do the sky mirror. Then I'll do some astrocartography on this strange month and this pattern that the new moon set up. And I'll tell you, when Pluto stops on that pattern, woo, it's going to get intense in the middle of April. And when Mars sets it all off, Mars is opposing Uranus at the end of April. There could be people angry if there's a strike and the union decides they're going to strike at all the McDonald's. You know, by the end of the month, you're probably going to have some young Martians or police or soldiers or young guys, you know, attacking the union picket lines and stuff. So you might feel very revolutionary during this time, and you need to be kind of careful about what you do, because the police are Pluto and Mars is violence, and we're probably going to see some violence and some fighting in April. Don't you fight now. And don't panic. It's just normal vibes, and you'll see it in the little things around you and the other people. If you've got planets around 10 degrees of Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn, you're going to feel it much more strongly, and things will happen closer to you. So check your chart. Anything between about 8 degrees and 12 degrees cardinal signs. That's Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn, the 4 compass points. It's where it's all happening. So there's going to be a lot of action this month. Stay calm. Let's go do the sky mirror. Well, what's coming up for you in the sky mirror? By the way, skymirrorastrology.com/TV, and you'll get the website. Skymirrorastrology.com, and you'll get the app site, which has clouds on it and sells the $5 app for your iPhone, so you can press a button and get the chart of now. Excellent way to learn astrology is to get that app and have it on your phone, and by golly, for $5 or something, you got the chart of now. You don't have to study people. That's embarrassing. You can study cats and dogs and birds and traffic jams and happenings all around you. Anything happening that you can see or hear, and you can check your app and investigate it, and you'll start learning astrology real fast. skymirrorastrology.com/TV. You should get my website with the turtle viewing the planets, and you'll get all the shows there. If you get stuck on the skymirrorastrology.com, the app site, he lists the sky mirrors for all the shows, and just to the left of each of the sky mirror screens there's a line that says, if you want to see the full show, click here, click on that one, and you'll get to my website, which has the turtles staring up at the planets. It's very cool, and you get the full show. So what's going on for you anyway? what's coming up in the next 10 days? There he is. Here's Pluto, better known as Pele in Hawaii. Yes. Here's the actual old-fashioned glyph for Pluto, is the circle of spirit over the crescent of flesh over the cross of matter. So Pele, let's say she's a policeman, yeah, and an investigator. She's supposed to care for spiritual things, the law, you know. The non-physical things are what the policeman puts first, over the people, the flesh beings, over the material goods, the money. Yeah, so Pluto is a very altruistic guy, and Pele is certainly the goddess of Madame Pele, the volcano goddess, very Pluto. The smell of sulfur and the red and black, those are the colors of Pluto. Now, he's going to stop, she's going to stop on the 14th. And so we got about 20 days up till then, as you increasingly get more investigative, as this is Sherlock Holmes, or get a little more panicky if it's hitting your chart bad, and peak out on the 14th and go down. The unfortunate thing is that Pluto is in this big Grand Cross. And now lots of times a Grand Cross like this, where you have 4 guys on each side of this, they're opposing and they're not going to do too much. They're opposing and they're not going to do too much. It kind of locks everything up. But this end of it over here, the Mars, doesn't really get into gear until the last week in April. So we do have an empty side over here in Libra. Anyway, the emphasis normally would be on Uranus here, because the new moon was on this planet, the planet of rational enlightenment, astrology, science, everything weird and different and strange that comes over the YouTube. I noticed that the UFOs show up when this occurs too, and this does run close to Mexico City. They're going to have some shakings and quakes and maybe a volcano in the distance, but you know, they had that great sighting a year or so ago of like dozens and dozens of UFOs flying around, and everybody took videos and never heard too much more about it. But so we're going to have a bunch of unusual stuff, because the new moon happened right here on March 30th, and it just flavors the whole month. So it makes a sensitive place too, the new moon, at 13 degrees of Aries. The trouble is Jupiter's down here in Cancer, squaring it and saying, no, don't be unusual, don't be genius. And we're not even going to look at the UFO. And Pluto up here is saying, don't do that on pain of jail and police and things. Huh? And at the end of April, Mars shows up and says, don't do that. So a worker strike, a new idea, unusual happening. A lot of this could get reactions that might not be pleasant. Anyway, for you, it's going to mean tension, a little panickiness, unusual happenings, and tension. A lot of tension in this Grand Cross. Let's see how it goes day by day. Huh? We're just going to run the moon around the edge of it here. And as the moon goes around once a month, it makes angles to these other planetary bodies and generates the mood of the times. And if here you're on the Thursday night show on the 3rd of April, very nice, because the moon sextiles Uranus and the sun, and you got a handle on it. Yeah. Think about what astrology means. What does it mean? It means there's a person inside you that doesn't change. It's a spirit, and it reincarnates. It means that you're unique in the world. It means telepathy works. It means a whole lot of things that can be world changing in some respects. But the fact that it works, there's still free will out there. The free will's in your attitude, but stuff's already programmed into the body you're traveling in and in these other charts, and so stuff's going to happen in the passing scene. At any rate, there's some secular enlightenment here Thursday night and into Friday morning, and real action Friday afternoon when the moon trines Mars. So if you're concerned about wind damage, look around your place, put stuff away. You know, this is a good time to take action to mediate any damage you get from this strange month of wind and heat and anyway, Friday, get out there and do some maintenance and fix up your place and make it more secure. Late Friday night, this is actually 2 a.m. in the morning, Saturday, there's a square to Mercury and communication problems arise. But Saturday is quite nice too. The moon's still in Gemini right up till noontime, and about the middle of the day and just before lunch there's a nice trine to Venus, and there's some sweets and relaxation and rewards here. Saturday, the middle of the day. The rest of Saturday the moon goes into Cancer, and as soon as the moon goes into Cancer here, which is the afternoon of Saturday the 5th, things start to change. It begins with kind of a false sense of security. Oh, the music's playing, my religion is great, and you have a sense of faith in things. Look out, you're being sucked in. Saturday night, if you're going to the music concert, you're going to go do religious, artistic things, make sure you get home early, because Sunday, the SHIT kind of hits the fan, and here's the conjunction to Jupiter that happens between breakfast and lunch. And, you know, the square to Uranus, electrical problems, wind problems, and the square to the Sun, I can't get nothing done. The opposition to Pluto is a little panicky. So Sunday is one heck of a day. Hold on to your seats. Make sure the wind isn't going to affect you. And don't panic. Yeah, by the time you get to Sunday night, you're not getting anything done. The square to the Sun is there. And late Sunday night, you know, about midnight or so, there's a square to Mars, and everybody's a little ticked off and irritated and angry. Ask yourself what you're protecting. Monday morning, there is a nice trine to Saturn about breakfast time here. So you can get organized on Monday the 7th after you're over the happenings of Sunday. It's best you do nothing at all Sunday and stay out of trouble. And Monday you'll get organized. And Monday night, you know, here late, 10, 11 o'clock, midnight, there's a nice trine to Mercury. You can talk over your plans, and things will seem a little better. On Tuesday, April 8th, the moon shifts into Leo right here, and things mellow out a little bit. There's a trine to Uranus late Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning, and things are looking up. We got Mars here in harmony. You can get out there and fix some stuff again. Rather like Friday morning, Wednesday morning is somewhat similar. If you've got wind problems, you know, this is a good time to get out and fix stuff. At least until after dinner. After dinner, there's a square to Saturn, and you get bogged down in time and money and depression. So do what you can Wednesday morning, and batten down the hatches Wednesday, get secure. Thursday, the moon's still in Leo during the first half of the day, so you're likely to feel a little reticent and a little cautious, which is wise, because when the moon shifts into Virgo late Thursday night on the 10th here, there's an opposition to Neptune, and there's some confusion and some water problems and not much rest, because there's an opposition to Venus here that happens, you know, after midnight and early Friday morning. Look out. The moon's in Virgo, though, and when you get to breakfast time, there's a sextile to Jupiter. Some truth and wisdom comes out. Friday in the middle of the day, there's a trine to Pluto. We can handle all this panicky stuff and these flight or fight reactions, and not too bad. Yeah, we all say on Friday the 11th. And Saturday, the moon's still in Virgo, and in the morning, you get a nice sextile to Saturn, so you're very organized Saturday morning, which continues right through until about 10, 11 o'clock Saturday night. And on Saturday night, the 12th, late, the moon shifts into Libra, and you're back in the panic zone again. Here's the Grand Cross, and it's going to be late Sunday night, most of it. Trying to do too much, you know, dinner time Sunday. The first thing is the square to Jupiter, and then there's an opposition to Uranus and a square to Pluto, which happens, you know, midnight, 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, Monday morning. And on Monday, the 14th, which is when Pluto stops, here's a conjunction to Mars, and we all feel like we got to get in gear and protect things, and you know. So this is probably, out of all the 4, maybe 5 Sundays that we're looking at here, when this panicky isolation feeling comes about, and it's an earthquake, panic out. There's a lot of reasons for this, but this is probably when you're going to feel the most strongly about things. Because when Pluto stops, the whole world turns into flight or fight, territoriality. I mean, what are all these governments fighting over? Territory they don't really need. The whole thing's kind of silly. Anyway, when you back off and look at it all, sure enough, you can see the panic zone here, 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 and there. And so you know that Sunday you can expect the bugs. Pluto is bugs, by the way, and sharks and mosquitoes, and we call it eek, a bug. The stronger Pluto gets as you go towards the 14th, you know, the more you get this eek, a bug, this startling, panicky feeling, huh? And so expect it. Swat that cockroach, huh? He can't bite you. Okay, what we're going to do here is spread this March 30th nasty new moon out on the world and take a look at where the hot spots might be. And right away, you see this pile up of stuff here running up through Mexico City and Acapulco and down in that area. There's also quite a hit here on New Zealand. So, you know, the Mexico City stuff, let's get a better map on this. I'm a little bit concerned because Mexico City is famous for its earthquakes, of course also for its UFOs. But here's Uranus, you see, on the midheaven, and that's up in the sky. That's one of the reasons I mentioned the UFO incident, is that this particular line runs also through San Antonio area here, but Mexico City, you know, here's the new moon. Pluto is over here, more towards Guadalajara if we have any volcano kinds of stuff going off. It could be more over there. Okay, here's New Zealand, and Uranus is on the rising sign here, so people are feeling shaky and alone, huh? The Pluto on the midheaven line comes right down through here. So I don't know if there's volcanoes here, but there's a public panic going on. And Jupiter's on the bottom of the chart, which means expanded Earth. If the Earth gets bigger, sometimes you get quakes and stuff too. Okay, here's Uranus on the descendant, running down through Great Britain here, touching a corner of France, and moving down to Pluto is the dotted line. And you notice that they converge here down by Gibraltar. Here's Uranus on the descendant, Pluto on the bottom of the chart, and I've never heard of earthquakes over here, but this could be wind, this could be lots of different things. It runs right up through there. Now with Pluto stopping around the 14th, it turns out there's a full moon on the 14th. And full moons is when earthquakes and things like this tend to go off. And here is Uranus on the bottom of the chart on your home, running up through this area, this Vancouver, Seattle, Portland. There's a big fault, the Cascadia Fault out here. And you can bet it's going to be doing some shaking. Pluto now is the guy that's really a problem. And at this time anyway, we need to look around for him. Okay, here's Pluto on the bottom of the chart. It's earthquake, volcano kind of times. It runs up through the ring of fire here. And it also moves up. There's some implications here for Japan. But they all pile up along this section. And we could have Uranus giving us typhoons in this area up in the northeast of Australia. The other area over here where things have kind of piled up, and I've learned that quarter moons and three-quarter moons are also special, and this is the first quarter moon, April 6th, where you're sitting, and here's Uranus on the descendant. Now this is fear of earthquakes and typhoons and things. What bothers me is this Uranus line runs pretty much up through the eastern side of Japan. This is the Fukushima area, yeah? 14th full moon has Pluto running up, well, it goes through Melbourne here, but it runs up through Cairns, and here's Uranus on the descendant, fear of typhoons. So this area here of Australia is, we got to watch that a little bit too. The other thing about this Cascadia fault line here, Uranus and Mercury running these dotted lines, Mars is at the top of the chart, running through Vancouver, Seattle, Portland area, tends to indicate the protectors are out. That could be civil defense areas, worrying over various things happening here due to this. Well, you're going to learn a lot about Uranus this month of April in your own life with the little things, electrical things, things with motors in them, things with electricity in them. You're going to find a lot of strange things going on. Keep extra batteries, twist the connections, huh? And anyways, interspersed between all this panicky stuff, there's going to be some flashes of insight, flashes of enlightenment. I hope you get some. There's good reason, good reason to use the tool, the scientific tool of astrology, kind of look at reality, because you get to look at different levels of it, which have meanings, and levels you're not used to looking at, things outside the normal vision. So, perk up, don't panic. It's just that kind of month.